Today in the Texas Tribune Weekend Insider. Nobody knows exactly who will come out to vote in the runoff election, but campaign consultants are hoping for a little runoff voting themselves. If a group of voters shows up for one candidate, it may help the other candidates. Ramsey explains. Then Brandi Grissom takes an in-depth look at prosecutorial errors and the consequences that can result when district attorneys make mistakes in criminal cases. In a multi-part series, we dive into the role of prosecutors and how they are held accountable when they do make mistakes.
So one of the things that's interesting right now in this runoff season is that nobody knows exactly who's going to turn out. And so they're looking at groups that are sort of naturally active. There's the group of people that always vote, in bond elections and school board elections, and if you're going to hold a vote, they'll show up. So they assume those people will show up. And then they look for other groups that are excited. And obviously the Tea Party and some of the groups like that are kind of ginned up, and they think they might show up. So Ted Cruz might be a beneficiary of that. Wes Riddle might be a beneficiary of that. Donna Campbell might be a beneficiary of that, and some other candidates around the state. And so the next question is, to what extent do those candidates start to have kind of a synergistic effect? If somebody shows up to vote for Wes Riddle, that's good for Ted Cruz. Somebody comes out to show up for Ted Cruz, that might be good for Donna Campbell. So as they sort of sort their way through who might turn out for the runoff and who might they approach, one of the things the consultants are looking at, either in an offensive sense or in a defensive sense, is what those activist voters will do.
So what we've done is we took an in-depth look at 86 cases in Texas that were overturned by the courts between 1989 and 2011. In those 86 cases, what we were looking to find is whether or not prosecutor errors contributed to the wrong outcome in those cases. And so we wanted to take a look at the role of prosecutors, how they're held accountable, and some suggestions for making prosecutors more accountable when they do make errors. It's one of the questions that has come up again and again is the difference between prosecutorial error and prosecutorial misconduct. And that really gets to the heart of what the questions are in big cases like the one involving Michael Morton, who was convicted of murdering his wife and spent 25 years in prison. The error in his case was that particular evidence was withheld from his lawyers during his trial in 1987. The question is when it becomes misconduct, and the difference is intention. So the question here is whether or not the prosecutor in his case, Ken Anderson, who is now a judge, intended to withhold that information that could have helped him prove that he was innocent 25 years ago. So what we've put together to really take an in-depth look at this issue is a series of stories and an interactive database. There'll be a video package at the end to sort of put it all together, talking with prosecutors, talking with victims who have spent years in prison who are wrongfully convicted, and talking with experts about how Texas can address this issue of how to hold prosecutors accountable.